Part 1. Free speech and digital ID are fundamentally incompatible and risk workers' freedom. The government's recent push for a mandatory digital identity system in the UK, which is widely referred to as digital ID or BritCard, may seem modern, efficient, and harmless. In reality, it threatens core worker rights, especially the freedom to speak out without fear. Here is how and why. Under the government's plan, a digital ID stored on a smartphone, containing name, date of birth, residency status, a photo, and potentially other personal data, will become mandatory for anyone who wants to work. Once such an ID becomes central to employment, housing, welfare, or banking, it gives enormous power to employers, government agencies, and private sector companies. This is not just to check identity, but potentially to monitor behavior, link datasets, and track individuals. Function creep. Digital ID systems with little transparency around data use or access create fertile ground for function creep, where the ID's intended use expands over time from verifying identity to surveillance, profiling, and conditional access to services. For workers across England, that has clear chilling effects on free expression. If an employer knows when an employee speaks up about unsafe conditions, unfair treatment, or criticizes workplace practices, and that employee's identity is tied to a government-controlled digital credential, then it becomes easier to intimidate, blacklist, or penalize them. This undermines the fundamental right to raise grievances, organize collectively, or demand better treatment. Moreover, digital ID makes people dependent on technology and data systems that may fail or be insecure. The proposed scheme has been criticized for turning the UK into a checkpoint society, embedding identity checks and surveillance into nearly every interaction. Mandating such IDs risks giving the government and corporations huge surveillance powers over our lives, affecting workers' rights to speak freely. In the workplace, where openness, solidarity, and collective action are vital, digital ID poses a fundamental threat. The Workers of England Union is clear. The government insisting on a universal mandatory ID system undermines the ability of workers to speak up, organize, dissent, and thus undercuts both workplace democracy and basic civil liberties. Stephen Morris, General Secretary of the Workers of England Union, puts it, "When your identity, and hence your livelihood, is tied to a government-controlled digital system, the right to speak becomes conditional. That is not freedom, it is control." Given the risks, the proposed digital ID system should be opposed. When technology threatens to replace employment rights, workers across England must stand firm. References: Digital ID in the UK, strengths, weaknesses, and implications. Digital ID, the key to a modern UK, or a threat to our freedom. Digital ID, why it should be opposed. Liberty. Compulsory digital ID will exclude some of the most marginalized. In Part 2, the Workers of England Union will explore why workers across England should be worried about giving control to the government. That article is entitled, "Historically, the British government has been extremely violent towards workers across England."